I think it goes without saying that there are things that Senator Bond and I might disagree on, but today is not a time to talk about those things. I would rise just for a few minutes to talk about Senator Bond and the things that I most respect and admire him for. It could be a very long list, and I don't want to take too long, but I'm going to hit the high points of the things that I think demand that anyone who's paid attention to Missouri, they need to respect and admire this man for. For 42 years, he has served the state of Missouri, and let's start there. He loves the state we call home. I would say that he knows it better than any living person in the world. He understands it, he is dedicated to it, and he has made Missouri his life work. For that, he deserves my respect and admiration. Secondly, he's made major sacrifices to serve. As the leader said, he graduated first in his class from the University of Virginia Law School, a graduate from Princeton. I don't need to explain to anybody in the Senate what that could mean in terms of one's career, in terms of making money. Christopher Kit Bond could have been wealthy beyond anyone's imagination. He had the intellect, he had the personality to succeed in any business that he decided to engage in, and certainly in the practice of law. I think in today's world, there's so much cynicism about the people who choose a career of political service. This is a great example for civics classes throughout this country to see this is really what we're talking about. Someone who chose not to make big bucks, not to travel the halls of power in the private sector, but to toil in the fields of being a public servant. And yes, there are many things about being a public servant that are grand and glorious, but there is a lot that is not. I would challenge anyone to go to as many Farm Bureau picnics as my colleague has gone to and not admit a little bit of fatigue. I would challenge anyone to have attended as many state fairs as my colleague has attended and not confess a little fatigue. I would challenge anyone to go to what my dad used to call the slick ham suppers in small little communities across the state after a long week of work, because he knew there were people there that were going to be rewarded by his presence and that it was part of his job that he realized was very important. So I am very respectful and have great admiration for the fact that he has toiled in the field of public service for all these years. The third thing that I respect and admire about him is how proud he is of his family and how devoted he is to his wife. It is a wonderful thing to behold when someone just exudes love and admiration and devotion to those people who are most important to all of us, their family. And I've watched Senator Bond as he began to really immerse himself in foreign policy, and I know it was because he went to bed every night and woke up every morning thinking of Sam and Sam's service and what Sam was doing and feeling compelled to do as much as he could in the halls of Congress to help men and women like Sam Bond throughout our world. Fourth, and maybe this is the best one, Senator Kit Bond is not afraid of a fight. I think that is terrific. You know, Missouri is a tough state. It's a tough state in that anybody who tells you their re-election is certain does not know or understand Missouri. Every election is a battle in Missouri. He has a record of 9-2 in those elections, and for our beloved team, the Missouri Tigers, he and I would take that record any year in football. He's had 3 campaigns for governor and 4 campaigns for the United States Senate from the state of Missouri, and his record is 9-1 in those elections. Let me tell you, that is one remarkable achievement, because in Missouri, we have some strong-minded folks. We have a bunch of folks on one end that are very loud and very opinionated, and they're not going anywhere. And we've got a bunch of folks on the other end that are just as loud and just as opinionated, and they're not going anywhere. But in the middle, we have a grand and glorious group of very stubbornly independent people. I like to point out to people that the state of Missouri elected John Ashcroft governor and Harriet Woods lieutenant governor in the same election. Now, many of you may not know who Harriet Woods is, but I can assure you my colleague does, and he and I both know that these were two people, John Ashcroft and Harriet Woods, that believed in nothing in common. They had completely divergent ideological views of the world, but yet Missourians elected both of them. Why? Because I'll tell you what that grand and glorious stubborn streak of independence wants in Missouri. They want someone with a smile. Check for Kit Bond. When you think of Kit Bond, you think of him smiling. Even if his teeth are gritted and he's telling you something that you don't want to hear, or you can tell he's angry at you, he is still grinning. They appreciate his intellect. He has always been an intellectual giant, and that is important when you're toiling the fields of public service. His integrity. There was never a doubt in all of these years of Kit Bond's service that this was not a man of the very highest integrity. And finally, a work ethic. And ye howdy, let me tell you, Missourians want a work ethic. They want somebody who understands that they're working hard, and they want to see you working hard. And that's exactly what Senator Bond has done for these 42 years. He's worked very, very hard, even down to planting his chestnut trees himself on the farm in Mexico. So the magic formula of a ready smile, intellect, integrity, and an amazing work ethic has put him in the same category as some of Missouri's very greatest. From Thomas Hart Benton to Senator Christopher Kit Bond, he has shown the world and shown our country what hard work, what somebody who loves the middle of America and all that it represents can do in the United States Senate. He has been a wonderful role model for many of us in Missouri, even if we don't always agree on every issue. And by the way, I will tell this story today, that when I took my desk in the state auditor's office, there's a tradition in the state auditor's office in Missouri that all the previous state auditor's pictures are around your office at the top, on a photo rail at the top. I sat down at my desk on the first day, having been elected state auditor, and looked up, and who was directly across from me? Kit Bond and John Ashcroft. I will confess, I moved the order. So I didn't have to look at both of you every single day. But you were a reminder to me that there is many different ways to serve, and it is with a great deal of reluctance that I say farewell to Senator Kit Bond in the United States Senate. He has served here well. He has served his state well. I hope he remains a colleague and friend of mine for many years to come. And with the utmost in admiration and respect, I yield the floor.